So the Xbox Series S has officially been confirmed. It's going to be the smallest Xbox ever, with a cost of $299. So in this video we're going to look at all the features that this new console is going to have. And first of all, we'll start with the size. So the console is pretty small. As you can see, it's almost a third of the size of the Xbox Series S. And for me, even the Xbox Series X is not that big. To give you a comparison, it's almost the same as the size of a hand diagonally. So the Xbox Series S is going to be a little bit small. Okay, so let's look at the main features. The Xbox Series S is quite powerful. First of all, it's going to have 4 teraflops compared to the Xbox Series X, which has 12.15. Bear in mind that it's based on the new AMD CPUs and GPUs, which have a better performance per teraflop. If you may want to compare it to the previous Xbox X, which had 6 teraflops, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be more powerful than the Xbox Series S, which is going to be at least on the same level or even more powerful. So about the SoC, is going to have 7 nanometers, similar to the Xbox Series X. And the place where I'm surprised is that it's having 8 cores, 16 threads, and running at 3.8 gigahertz, which is basically the same as the Xbox Series X. And also it has a better CPU than the PS5, which has a gigahertz of 3.5. So that's one thing to take note of. At least it has a better CPU, which I'm sure it will improve dramatically the performance stroke the loading times of games. So concerning the GPU, it's not the same though. It's having the Navi RDNA 2.0 GPU, which is nice, but it's running at 1.55 gigahertz. And it also has 20 CUs, which is about a third to a half what the Series X is having. So also the clock rate is a bit low. It's having a clocking rate of 1.55 gigahertz, while the Series X is having 2.0 gigahertz, and the PS5 2.4, which is the highest clocking rate of any GPU as per now. And that's not the only difference. It also has more RAM. 10 GB of GDDR6 is really awesome for a console. If you guys can remember, before the PS5 and the Series X were announced, most people were thinking that maybe it will be having around 10 GB, but it was updated to 16 GB. So the 10 GB of GDDR6 is really nice, and it will really assist, or it will really make it better than the previous consoles, which were running on a previous much slower architecture and had lesser RAM. So the other main difference is, sadly, or we can just start with the advantages. It's going to run 1440p at 60 FPS. Then there are other claims that the console is going to have 120 FPS at 1440p, which is really nice, any of them, because you are just paying $229, which is almost half, let's say it's almost half the cheapest NVIDIA GPU that can get. And basically it's going to run at a very high resolution at that price point. So compared to the Xbox Series X, this will be one of the more determining factor. So for that, it's going to have the 4K capability and also 8K gaming, which is really nice. So about the storage, it's not going to have the same storage. It's going to have 512 gigabytes of SSD PCIe 4.0 storage. That basically means it's going to run almost similar to the demo that the Xbox had about 2 months ago. So when opening a game, it might take around 4 seconds to around 5 seconds, which is pretty fast compared to anything we have currently. So the only difference is that the Xbox Series X has twice the storage. I'm thinking maybe it's going to have the same speed. So about the backwards compatibility, the Xbox Series X is also going to be compatible on all previous Xbox games, even the OG Xbox games, and also it's also going to support all next-gen games. There's not going to be a difference between the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S in development. They're all going to have the same development and basically have all games on one system performing on another system. So about the MSRP, this is the manufacturer price point. It's going to be a bit lower. For me personally, I think they can also, when the PS5 announces its price, I believe if it's too low for them or it's slightly more competitive, they might even drop the price to around 240 something US dollars, which is budget friendly. About the power consumption, it's also stated that it's going to have less than 250 watts. This is because the console itself doesn't require a lot of power in running the various specifications that it has, and basically that will also assist in cooling, because when you have maybe a higher watt as computer or console, they usually get overheated quickly. So that is also adequate for the console. About the disk drive, it's going to be similar to the PS5 digital version with no disk drive. Basically for me, I see no difference, because nowadays it doesn't even matter if you get a disk drive or not. Especially there's some even advantages of not having a disk drive, because you can just switch from one account to another and you'll still have your game, instead of having a disk drive which may be damaged or has to be physically moved in order to play on another region. So personally for me, I think these features are quite nice for the console. Yeah, and I really think that this can be quite
I'm excited to show you the Stardust Essential Oil Diffuser from InspireUplift.com.
Quite a competition from the PS5 digital edition. If it's going to be priced at $299, then the PS5 digital edition may be $399. There's going to be enough reason for people to consider, because currently most people are siding with the PS5. But the power that the Xbox Series S has generally exceeded our expectations.